Yearly, FCIDC gives 2 awards. One is an individual award and one is a business award. And historically, the individual award was just a generic individual community involvement. But just about a year ago, we lost our board chair. Bill Toffee. He was the chair for 25 years. Bill was city manager for probably 20 plus years and really set the foundation during the 1980s and 1990s for St. Albans and the infrastructure we have in place. So Bill was active in Little League, his church, very active with his family, the St. Albans Historical Museum, and he was a leader to me and the board, and we just felt it was important to carry on his memory by renaming our individual award the William Toffee Community Involvement Award. So this is the first year we'll be doing it. Bill's daughter, Rosemary, is here with her husband, Ray, and thank you for joining us. The Toffee family has been long rooted in St. Albans, and we miss Bill, but we want to carry on his memory. So this year's recipient of the William Toffee Community Involvement Award is an individual who, just like Bill, was dedicated to his work, community, friends, and most importantly, his family. Mr. Leon Berthium was a graduate from MVU in 1996. Oh, I'm sorry, 1976. Sorry, Leon, about that. He looks like he graduated in 1996. And then he went on to UVM, where he graduated with a degree in business administration. In 1984, he joined the St. Albans Co-op as controller, and in 1991, the co-op named him as general manager and CEO. Leon still serves in that capacity. As all of you know, dairy industry has changed significantly over those 25 plus years, and Leon has done an outstanding job leading the board and the co-op through some very difficult times. His commitment to the dairy industry includes serving as chair of the Northeast Dairy Farmers Cooperative, chair of the Greater Northeast Milk Marketing Agency, director for National Milk Producers Federation, director for Vermont Dairy Industry Federation, plus another handful of boards, both regionally and nationally. Despite his commitment to countless hours on the job, he still made time over the years to participate in the community initiatives and boards, such as serving on the United Way Board, MVU Board, Knights of Columbus, Swanton Chamber of Commerce. Currently, he serves on the People's Trust Board of Directors, and his current commitment to his community is also serving on the Northwestern Medical Center Board of Directors. And a spin-off of that was he chaired the campaign for the capital fund for the hospital expansion. It was Leon's leadership which led the committee to raise $2,721,563.49, which he won't let you forget about the 49 cents. If I didn't mention that, you would have heard it. As he likes to remind us of the total, the amount raised was well above the intended goal. Like all of us, Leon is made up of from where he came from, which grooms him to who he is today. From his dad, he learned the importance of family and how to talk to anyone about anything. And if you know Leon, that's true. From his mom, he learned how to love the young and the old and always find the best in others. Leon has ever-present optimism, an incredible sense of personal responsibility, as well as a sense of humor. Leon is the father of 3 wonderful children, now 3 grandchildren, who call him Pops and Pop. Leon cherishes the time with his children and grandchildren, whether it's at home, doing home improvements with them, or building blocks on the floor. Leon takes the time to spend with his family. For me, as the executive director and working with Leon in a variety of initiatives, including having him as an FCIDC director, I have always enjoyed Leon's sense of humor, his commitment to place, and dedication to whatever task he undertakes. You can always count on Leon to scrutinize the FCIDC financials and ask the questions so that make our organization better. What many of you may not know is that Leon is also an outdoorsman. We've been able to catch a few photos of him by game cameras. So what Leon does is he ties his outdoor love of the outdoors with his dairy commitment. I'm sorry, Leon, Kathy made me do it. So I'd like to ask you to welcome Leon Berthium to receive the Bill Toffee Community Involvement Award. Here, you take that. You hold that. You can say a few words.
Okay.
We'll present for Elaine over there.
Okay.
All right, you're good.
I'm not sure what I can say after listening to everything that Tim just has shared with you. But I think first and foremost, I am truly humbled and honored to receive this award this afternoon, and is indeed a surprise to me, and I want you to be assured of that. Certainly want to thank the FCIDC board and the staff for their support and this special recognition. It's very meaningful to me in that I have known Bill for over 30 years. And I first got to know Bill when I came to the St. Albans Cooperative back in 1984. So I've really had the chance over the years to interface with Bill as it relates to the cooperative's role within this community. And he certainly encouraged all of us at the cooperative to be engaged in the city and throughout the county. And certainly I've had the privilege beyond that to work with Bill on so many other initiatives that he spearheaded and felt very strongly about. And so there were many times that we would have those conversations about, what's in the best interest of the community at large. And so I also had the opportunity, as Tim has said, to serve with him on the FCIDC board. And certainly I've had the utmost respect for Bill. And I've also learned a great deal from him as he really worked throughout the county and with the people and many of the people in this room. So again, this is a very meaningful award for me. There are so many people in this room that, again, are a key part of our community that volunteer their time, their talents, and their resources. And that's what really makes the difference here in Franklin County. It's all of you in this particular room. So again, I thank each and every one of you for all that you do to make a difference in this community. I certainly want to thank my wife, who is here tonight. She's over in the center of the room. Along with my family that was always very supportive of my engagement in the various community activities that you heard Tim speak about. But I also need to thank the St. Albans Cooperative for their support of really allowing their team members to be actively engaged throughout the community. And so we certainly continue to support that as well. I have gained so much over the years from all the interactions and the opportunities to serve in the various capacities. And what I gained, in most part, is really all the people that I've had the opportunity to interface with and the new friendships that I've been able to gain. And so tonight, I will always treasure this moment and this recognition. So thank you. We'll talk about the picture later.
We'll deliver it to your office tomorrow.
Thanks.
We're also very fortunate to have the governor with us today. Governor Phil Scott was elected to office just about a little more than 1 year ago. We're very fortunate to have the governor here. He's a friend of economic development. He's a friend of Franklin County. I don't know, we should probably find him a place to live. He was up here 2 weeks ago for the ribbon cutting at the hospital. We did 3 company visits. Earlier in the year, we'll be talking about Techno Apex later, but the governor joined the staff at Techno Apex for lunch to talk about business concerns. So I'd like to give a round of applause for Governor Phil Scott.
very much. Well, good evening. Thank you very much for having me, and congratulations, Liam. I didn't realize you were quite so talented. Obviously, if you haven't seen the picture close up, it doesn't do it justice back there. You'll have to come forward. I really do want to thank all of you for what you do to support Vermont and Vermont's economy year in and year out. This is a great achievement of your organization. 47 years of supporting economic growth in Franklin County. You have an excellent team here in Franklin County as well. This group, supportive municipalities, the Regional Planning Commission, the Franklin County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and great local business partners too. Putting all that together makes for a great team, and you should all be proud of the hard work you put in each and every day. And the fruits of your labor are quite evident. They've really paid off when you go through the community. And certainly in my last 18 years of public service, I've been up here a lot in different roles, and it's changed dramatically and for the better. And you should be very proud of what you've done. While standing here today as governor, just 20 years ago, I didn't have a political bone in my body. I had really no interest in politics whatsoever. There are days I wake up and I have that same feeling of 20 years ago. But as the owner of a construction business, I started complaining a lot about what they then were doing to me in Montpelier, and they were literally 2 miles down the road from me. And I complained enough, so I looked myself in the mirror one day and thought, maybe I should be part of the solution. Maybe I should add my voice to what, because obviously they weren't getting it from my perspective, but I thought I should add my voice. And so I entered, I was in business, in the construction business for 3 decades. And when I find myself in a hole, I usually stop digging. And when you're in the trenches day in and day out, you find solutions to problems pretty quick. So I ran for office in 2000 and worked to be part of the solution ever since. And last year, when I thought about the challenges that we face here in Vermont, and we do have our challenges, but there's an incredible amount of work we could do to help ourselves out. And when I thought about expanding our economy, making Vermont more affordable, and investing in our future, I thought we should do more of this. We need to do it right now before it's too late, and that's why I ran for governor. And fortunately, I was elected. And on my first day in office, I issued an executive order outlining the strategic goals of my administration. Really very simple goals and guidelines that we put into place. And I sent that message to my administration about growing the economy, making Vermont more affordable, and protecting the most vulnerable. And those 3 very simple principles are what guide us each and every day in every policy we take. We literally ask ourselves in every policy that comes across our plate, so to speak, does this help the economy? Does it grow the economy? Or does it protect the most vulnerable? If the answer is no to the 3, it may be a good idea, but we just put it aside for now because you need to prioritize in order to accomplish anything. So one way to achieve these goals is for our businesses, from the startups to the established companies, to thrive, creating good jobs and more opportunity. And I know this is something all of you are interested in. In working with the legislature, I'm pleased to have taken some important steps to support workers and businesses this year, starting with a budget that was balanced without raising taxes and fees for the first time in recent memory. Collectively, working with the legislature, we passed a budget that ensures state spending isn't growing faster than our economy or our wages. But at the same time, we also made critical investments in Vermont's economy and people. For example, we focused on affordable housing. And it wasn't just for those with low income, but for the workforce as well, because that's where we saw that there was some problems. After listening to hundreds of employers and Vermonters across the state, what I consistently heard was that one of the barriers to attracting more families and young professionals is decent, affordable housing. So to begin addressing that need, we passed a $35 million housing bond, which will leverage another $65 million and makes it the single largest investment in housing that we've ever seen. and it will help bring more affordable housing to the market for that workforce that we desperately need as well. We also made some common sense changes to support housing developments and downtown growth. Small businesses and entrepreneurs, as we know, are the backbone of our economy. So to support them, we invested to increase the number of small business development centers in tax credits for downtown and village center development, as well as to help expand the number of maker spaces and co-worker spaces to regions throughout Vermont. I believe these initiatives will help support our entrepreneurs, businesses, and the workforce, as well as drive economic development. And that includes a focus on expanding growth, not just in Chittenden County, but in all 14 counties. Now, I'm proud of what was achieved this legislative session, but like you with the Franklin Industrial Development Corp., it was a team effort, which included the legislature. It took hard work, a principled approach, and some compromise. Admittedly, it got a little messy at the end, but we got through it and finally passed something that we could all agree to. And I think we need a little bit more of this, both here at home and nationally. Part of it comes down to listening and learning from those Vermonters we were elected to serve. It also comes with listening to different perspectives, whether it's in business or politics or racing. I've always been successful because I've worked to put together strong, diverse teams to look at issues from all angles. In fact, when I put together my administration, political party affiliation was not a litmus test for me, but talent and integrity certainly was. I've always listened to and learned from others and respected others' opinions as well. Even when I don't agree, I listen to what they have to say. And I think this is an approach that we could utilize more nationally as the ever-increasing political divide we see across the country continues to divide us, and we need something to unite us. So we all have an important role to play in helping to bridge and heal that divide, and it starts right here in our own backyard, in our states, in our communities, and in our businesses. In my opinion, one of the greatest threats we face as a country isn't necessarily from outside our borders, but right here from within. I believe it's that political polarization that's growing at an alarming rate in our country. Somehow, consensus and compromise is viewed as unacceptable and portrayed as a weakness when I believe it's actually a strength. And when we have legitimate policy debates, like budgets and so forth, and they're characterized in polarizing terms like attack or assault, it turns into a conversation just about winners and losers, and the opportunity for compromise is diminished. This approach only causes everyone to dig in a little bit further rather than finding common ground and real solutions. So I believe, and I know I'm somewhat preaching here, but I believe we have a responsibility to set the right tone here in Vermont, from elected officials to businesses and community leaders. And I believe if we listen to and learn from all people with different perspectives, if we refuse to take the bait and rise above the polarization and treat each other with respect and civility, and if we're truly committed to helping everyone to the best of our ability, we will be more effective leaders and role models for our youth in order to bring people together to build bridges. I had the privilege as well to address a few graduating classes this past spring. As most commencement speakers are expected to do, I tried to offer some words of advice to live by. And here's a few things that I suggested to the class of 2017. First of all, just remember the golden rule. It's really pretty simple. Do unto others as you'd have done unto you. And it really is simple to think about that. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And by the way, the same holds true on Twitter. Tweet others the way you want to be tweeted. Think before you tweet. I think that's the bottom line. Understand how we act when we're not in the spotlight is just as important as how we act when we're on center stage or on the field. And owning and learning from our mistakes builds character. Because let's be honest, we all make mistakes, but but those mistakes are only weaknesses if we don't use them to make ourselves better. And finally, understand the importance of integrity, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's how most of us will be remembered. And I think the country could use just a little bit more of that approach right now. So thank you very much for all you do, for your leadership in supporting economic growth here in Franklin County and beyond. And I look forward to supporting you and working with you over the next couple of years. So appreciate everything you've done thus far. Thank you, Tim, for your leadership.
Good. I have all my notes here.
Try not to grab any of yours.
So you have to have that.
I'm here for probably 10, 15 minutes.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate it. You should feel comfort in knowing that we had no pictures of you. Couple things I'd like to acknowledge. Santini Catering and Sue LeClaire and the food here. I'd like to give her a round of applause. We also try to focus on local beer and wine, so 14 Star, thank you. They also have Snow wine from Snow Farm over in the islands and Due North up in Franklin, so thank you for that. I'd also like to recognize friends of ours from over the border. For those who are familiar with some of the work happening in Franklin County, we worked on a cross-border map with colleagues, and I'd like to welcome Ghislaine and Kevin Baudouin from Bedford. We've built a strong relationship over time, and we're continuing to work on a number of different initiatives. And Ghislaine, without all the work you did on the map, it would not have come true, so thank you. I'd like to introduce Kathy Lavoie to present the Rick Manahan Award. I'd like to welcome all the Manahans here. I know most of you here are here for the right reasons. I know your son Quickie's here for the food and the drink. So Kathy, if you want to come up and present the Rick Manahan Award.
Well, first, I'd like to say in all my years of politics, I never had to follow the governor, so this isn't going to be easy. But, and I'd like to thank Tim for every year for allowing the Franklin Grand Isle Workforce Investment Board to present this award at this event. And to Liam, congratulations. I know I've said before to many of you, he's always been an inspiration to me. I'm glad he can't threaten to fire me tomorrow, though. But he really was the one that started me down the path of my own engagement in the community when he loaned me as an executive to the United Way 25 years ago or so. So thank you. In 2010, the Franklin Grand Isle Workforce Investment Board created the Rick Manahan Civic Involvement Award. Rick is remembered as much for his work at People's Trust as for his individual contributions to the people of Franklin County. He was admired personally and professionally. His name is synonymous with community service and commitment. We will never forget his ambition of giving more than he ever got. How do you ever recover from the loss of a true leader? We don't, but we can honor others who exemplify his integrity, his commitment, and his drive to serve the community. Some of the requirements for receiving the award include commitment to civic involvement and the love of their family and of their heritage, being honest, personable, friendly, and sincere. Previous recipients include our own Timothy J. Smith over here, Leon Berthume, Stan Beauregard, Carol and Steve Stata from the islands, and last year, Paul Clark. Paul's out there, right? He was here. This year's recipient holds true Rick Manahan's most treasured value, a solid understanding of love for community, no matter where you live. Sir Winton Goodrich, as his son Garrett calls him, grew up in Cabot, Vermont, on the Molly Brook Farm. He is the son of Walter and Sally Goodrich, and his mom, Sally, is here with us tonight. The family raised Jersey cows, a superior breed with high butter fat. I learned that from Leon. And thus assuming, I must suppose, the superior sir in his name. As a child, he was often called Boss Boy, and we're going to assume that was due to his early leadership skills that his parents wanted to encourage, but maybe not. Daughter Hillary simply calls him Dad, but as the story progresses, you'll soon know that it is probably usually Dad. As a husband to wife Valerie, also here tonight, he is known as Wint, and we'll assume there's no hidden meaning in that name. By his 6 grandchildren, Violet, Brady, Jade, Ella, Leah, and Cora, he is simply known as Pa. And this we know has one message, and that is the message of love. What you'll also soon see is Sir Winton has a crazy, I'm your kind of guy personality, one that comes with a lot of stories. And I'm not going to tell you all of these stories, but we're going to show you one. It took me a few minutes to realize that was seaweed on his head, but all I'm told by a family is that this was his granddaughter's attempt at a beach makeover. We're glad you're not donning a bikini, but the slime green seaweed simply is charming on you, Winton. Wynn, as we all know him, and Valerie met in 1971 at Lyndon State College. Wynn had volunteered to assist the freshman orientation with the not-so-hidden agenda of getting the first look at some of the incoming freshmen. While working at the checkout station, he spotted Valerie and announced that he was going to marry her. However, it should also be noted that he didn't make quite the same impression on Valerie, because she says she never even noticed him until later in the fall. And then she suddenly found his charming ways irresistible, and we'll assume that's how come he's known as Wint. Wint and Valerie have been married for 44 years, raising their family in Berlin. They have 2 children, daughter Hillary, who lives in North Carolina with her husband Adam and 3 children, and son Garrett, who lives in California with his wife Gina and their 3 children. And both of them obviously wish that they could be here tonight. His grandchildren consider him to be funny because he tells them stories of his life, ones that involve sledding down the hill with Robbie the Ram, interesting, sliding in cow pies when he was a little boy, even more interesting. But most intriguing is his apparent adventure of wrestling in a vat of red Jell-O. So we're going to assume that he likes to embellish his stories. Sir Winton's antics apparently even took his students by surprise. Valerie tells us that during his teaching career at Northfield High School, he was an early advocate of hands-on learning. To that end, he and the students designed a ropes course which involved a zip line. Unfortunately, Winston's test of the zip line involved a miscalculated slope, sending the prized and surprised teacher with great force in contact with a tree. I'm told that Winton thought he might be dead, but he realized he wasn't when he heard a frustrated student say, "I think he's dead." With a bruised ego and a serious concussion, he miraculously rose from the dead and lived to enjoy many more years of good intentions and a much more refined sense of calculations. Daughter Hillary says that she was lucky to have had a dad that loved sports, but it did have some drawbacks. One summer when she was playing AAU girls basketball, Dad was the assistant coach. And every time they would play a new team, he would walk up to the coaches and players and say, "Hi, I'm Win, and that's what we're going to do tonight." And once, myself having been a teenage girl, I'm assuming that's when Dad became Dad. There's also the story of his first kayaking adventure when once again it appeared that death was imminent. And though I won't tell you the rest of the story, I will let you know that his adoring daughter and his loving wife were too busy laughing to even be concerned if he was drowned. Sir Witten's son Garrett, a PGA professional for more than 2 decades, shares a more serious side to his father. As a kid, I never appreciated how much Dad did and how much he cared. Just getting a job done was never his answer. I didn't realize how many lives he touched by giving more than he could. I now clearly understand that he was giving his absolute all to everyone. He pressured this same above and beyond approach to every single school administrator, principal, teacher, student, family member, and friend that he's associated with. I knew, however, though, that Win had raised a loving son in Garrett when he said, "He's instilled in me what great things will come from hard work and true dedication to one's word. I've been able to accomplish some important goals. Recently, I've done my best to teach Dad to play defense against himself. I try to challenge him to relax and take time to reflect on life. Additionally, I think of my mom first, because we know without her support, the widespread influence of Dad would not have been possible." Great job, Win. You've raised a young man that every mother needs. And to the next generation, his 6 grandchildren, Pa is everything that heroes are made of. Pa takes them on hikes, teaches them about trees, lets them ride on the tractor, and rescues field mice without hurting them. He even climbs trees. And at just a young age of 22 months, young Ella says, he did a good job and he didn't even fall off. So he is still obviously impressing the young ladies. And so in July 2014, Winton Goodwich came to Franklin County as the superintendent of Franklin Northwest Supervisory Union. He's also made his mark on this region, even though it's not really his home. We know him as a leader, an organizer, a networker, a goal setter, and an intellect. We also know of his kindness, his concern, his follow-through, his integrity, his drive, and his sincerity. Dennis Boucher, who's here with us tonight, chair of the MVU School Board, states, Win is always supportive of our school board members, our staff, and our students. He is knowledgeable on education law and has made several important improvements to our school that benefit everyone. I am sincerely proud to have had the opportunity to have worked with him, but more so, I am especially proud to call him my friend. Win would be the first to tell you and tell all of us the hard skills he possesses came through his vast amount of work and his master's in education. But he'd also be the first to tell us that all of the soft skilled stuff that he possesses came from his expansive degree in life. And those are the most valuable. Professionally, Win has done almost everything. He served as the superintendent at South Burlington School District, the associate director of Vermont School Board Association, executive director of Vermont Chamber of Commerce Business Education Partnership, assistant principal of People's Academy, health and physical education teacher and assistant athletic director at Montpelier Public Schools, teacher and coach at Northfield Public Schools, physical education teacher at Blue Mountain Union School District. He was also an auxiliary Vermont State Trooper and was instrumental in forming the first Vermont School Crisis Team. In all of these capacities, Win has led in every way. He has had a great impact on several fronts that affect the lives of the children in the state of Vermont, implementing on bullying prevention and crisis intervention teams, nutrition and wellness programs, school governance and school board development initiatives, business and education partnerships, communication and transportation planning teams. Win has done it all. His resume is 7 pages long, and despite the length, it is an incredible read. Why? Because as I tell my young adults that I work with, it's easy to write a resume, but it's much harder to build one. Win is a master carpenter. Here in our region, Win is everywhere and well beyond school board meetings. He's attending sports events, forums on substance abuse, skits nights, after-school crossroad events, chamber mixer, manufacturing tours, work-based learning presentations, my monthly WIB meetings, SWAT enhancement, economic and substance abuse meetings, and so much more. I have not known an individual, not from this region, to be so ingrained in so many aspects of our community. It's now his community. His heart is back in Berlin with his family, but we certainly have a piece of him here in Franklin County. You see, much like the ever funny Pa wears the incredible seaweed on his head, he also wears his heart on his sleeve and his integrity in his heart. As Valerie states, Wint has enjoyed living life each and every day. He is the most optimistic individual I know. He enthusiastically embraces everything he does, whether it is family, employment, or friends. Wint is willing to do whatever he can to help others. My life with Winton has never been dull, and I look forward to more adventures as he joins me next summer in retirement. Winton I. Goodrich, Franklin County will miss you. Our children and our families will miss you. I will miss you. But we want you to know that even though you're not a Franklin County boy, we hope you'll always consider Franklin County as one of your homes. For as you have proven, you build a home through building a community, and that you have done. You didn't know Rick Manahan, but Rick now knows you. And I think his family that is here tonight, as they always are in great force, that they know that Rick Manahan and you would have been friends and you would have respected each other as colleagues. Together, you would have been a whirlwind of a team. Through so many ways, you have earned the 2016 Rick Manahan Civic Involvement Award.
Oh my goodness. You little devil. Well, I am going to do more research in the future. And here's how I got here. I've come to know in the very short time that I've been in Franklin County that Kathy Lavoie is an outstanding individual, and I learned that early on. And we got to the point in a professional relationship where Kathy would call me up and say, I really need you to come to this WIB meeting, or I really need you to go to that event. And it's blind subservience. And so she called me and said, what are you doing in a couple of weeks on Thursday? And I said, well, I've got a superintendent training mentoring event in Montpelier that I have to go to. She said, what time does it get over? And I said, well, I think it gets over at about 3:30. She said, can you be in St. Albans at 5? And I said, yes, but what am I doing? You don't need to know that. You just need to come. And so because she's always steered me straight in the past, I said, okay, I'll be there. So I'm with Dennis Boucher, the board chair at MVU. We're training new superintendents today in Montpelier, and I asked Dennis if he wanted to stash his car here because I had some event I had to go to. And later on he comes to me and he says, well, is it okay if I go with you? And I said, I don't know where I'm going, so I guess it's probably okay if you go with me. And we were going to stop at my house in Berlin, and I was going to have Dennis meet my wife, Valerie. And she calls me up and says, no, I'm doing something with my friends today, and I can't be there. And so I said, well, Dennis, I could take you to my house and we could just go there, but I guess that's not going to happen. So lo and behold, the reason that she can't be there, she's here. And my mother is here, too. So there's a lot of collusion going on. I didn't know that I was posing for that picture. So someone had something to do with that. I am speechless, and that seldom happens. So I'm kind of, as I'm sure Leon was in the same situation, I'm trying to think, how did I get here? What is this about? And I'm just going to start by saying that I'm absolutely honored. I'm appreciative. I'll soon meet the Manahan family. And judging from what I hear as far as the credentials, I'm honored to be represented in the same vein as a well-known family member here. What I'll say is that it's been quite a career. My wife was very generous in the good things that she said. She had the spin that it's been quite a ride in a positive frame. I don't always hear that at home. Sometimes it's the tone that changes that a little bit. I am very honored and appreciative that my mother is here. She's the one that helped me to be able to talk with ease. I mentored very well, but I'm having a difficult time right now trying to formulate the words. I'm sitting here tonight, not really knowing what this is about, and I look over and I see my wife. First of all, I see Greg, and I say, why is Greg here? And then I kind of look at the table, and there's a whole bunch of people I work with here. And then I see my wife here, and then I see my mother here, and so then I knew something was up. I very much enjoyed Franklin County. It's very much like the Northeast Kingdom where I grew up. I call it the Northwest Territory because Northeast Kingdom doesn't have anything on this land. It's very much the same, very independent spirit, a lot of great people, and I had the chance of going 4 places when I came here in 2014. And I chose this place, one, because I was the only one left standing, so it was my game to lose, given the competitive side of me. And in the process, actually, Dennis reached out to me and said, I hope you consider coming here if we get to that point. And I did, and I'm totally thankful that that happened. We've had a tough road to go here, and a lot of the things that we've done together, but it's been absolutely a wonderful experience. I tell people I love my job, just not every day, and that's the truth. I think about the connection here with the Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation. One of the other jobs I thoroughly enjoyed in my career was being a business education partnership director with the Vermont Chamber of Commerce. I got to travel all over Vermont and make connections with businesses and schools. And I think that's the way we need to be going. My favorite teacher in high school was my math teacher, and it was my worst subject. But it's because she was a great teacher that I made this connection. And it wasn't until I became a post and beam house builder that I understood that the Pythagorean theorem of a squared plus b squared equals c squared is how you lay out roof rafters and how you lay out stair treads. And if I only could have known that in high school, then I would have been a good math student. And so part of what I try to do in schools is to help students learn in the way they learn best. And that's what we work on as administrators. It's what we work on as school board members. And I think that's the wave of the future. And I'm very pleased with Act 77, even though sometimes I could swear at it because it's such an onerous implementation process. But to be able to help all students be successful is critically important to what the next generation will be successful at. I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to shut up and not say anything else. But I'm going to tell you, Kathy, the next time you tell me to come to some meeting, I'm going to be asking deeper questions. So thank you to Tim Smith. Thank you to Kathy Lavoie. Thank you for this wonderful honor. It means a great deal to me, and I'm happy to be one of the few team members that's on this plaque.
The plaque that Win God is a plaque that's displayed at People's Trust near the Tellers on Kingman Street. Rick was a good friend of mine, and Win, and you fit the bill perfectly. It's well deserved, and thank you for all you've done. So, we've got one business award left, and then you can get back to eating. All I'm going to say is that square dancing is in here at 6:30. So you can either stick around for square dancing, or you can help me get out of here on time, and then we can all get home at a decent hour. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I greatly appreciate it. We do 2 awards. As I said, we do the individual and the business award. And the business award is given to the business that goes over and above just a daily operation of a business. A business that welcomes community interaction, is engaged with business partners, offer great working conditions with great pay and benefits, and in short, just gets what it means to be part of the community. Back in 1991, our community was fortunate enough to have a Milton resident by the name of Lawrence Monty purchase a facility in the St. Albans Town Industrial Park and open a business called QST. QST was purchased by Techner Apex back in 1998. Techner Apex is a multinational corporation with almost 20 manufacturing plants and sales offices scattered around the globe. But for our purpose, we want to focus on the St. Albans plant and their management team. Here at Techner Apex, they make thermoplastic elastomers, which is basically an extruded pellet, which is then sold to a manufacturer to be formulated into a separate product. I grabbed some samples, but I forgot them. Basically, it could be the rubber part of your toothbrush or your pen, or the best example, and these are minor in the whole scheme of things. I know, Eric, and I'm probably not doing your process justice, but the yellow cancer bracelets that Lance Armstrong started, that's a fine example of what the pellets are formed into. So there's many other things that are starting to get into the medical field, but the big thing with Techner Apex is that they're committed to the community. Most of these products, as I said, you see in everyday life. The management team is led by Eric Simanowski, who's over here on the side, and before Eric, it was Paul Burke, who has since relocated to the corporate office in Rhode Island. Here are just a few of the initiatives that Eric and his team have participated in over the last year. This past April, Eric and his team hosted Governor Phil Scott, as I mentioned previously, for a lunch at the plant to talk about business topics and concerns. Last week, Eric opened their doors during Manufacturing Week and hosted a mixer with the St. Albans Regional Chamber and the Workforce Investment Board, one of the few times a mixer has been held at a manufacturing site. Eric opened their doors during Manufacturing Week last fall, and Kathy Lavoie worked with them to do community tours as well. Just this past Friday, I needed to fill a void on a panel discussion at the St. Albans City School regarding recycling and reuse, and that it was to be held on this past Tuesday. I called Eric, and he was more than willing to jump in to share the Techner story and what they do. While at the school, Eric also extended an invite to the students to visit his plant. A number of years ago, we brought a number of junior high students through the plant over a 4-week period. The tours made it very clear as to the importance of participating in STEM education. If anyone has driven through the St. Albans Town Industrial Park lately, you will see a couple of acres of green space owned by Techner Apex has been turned into a temporary parking lot for 2 years as FCIDC and Peerless Clothing work to expand their facility. When I first met with Eric to discuss the possibility of using the land, he was on board from the get-go and went to bat for Peerless. As Eric stated that day, we want to be good neighbors. Techner Apex employ approximately 35 individuals and offer a great package. Bear with me for a second. Techner strives to be a good partner with our employees and customers and suppliers in the community. We can be successful manufacturing in Vermont and Franklin County because we're able to produce a high-quality product while remaining competitive. We offer good compensation, excellent benefits, and opportunities to move into our other sites when the time and job fits. Our best performers thrive in a team atmosphere where they are willing to help a colleague, and they know if they need help, somebody will pick that up. So those were comments from Eric. Eric, I'd like to have you come up and accept the business award, FCIDC Business Award for Techner Apex. So you hold that. I hold this. There we go. I think Mike. Okay. You want to say anything?
Not really, but yeah, this is a tough crowd to follow, so I will be quick. It'll be square dancing in no time. Thanks, Tim, for the award. You know, Techner is really honored to receive this tonight. I took over the job as plant manager about a year ago and recognized that involvement in the community was our path to success, to hiring great employees. And that's really what we need to be successful and sustainable. We're committed to that. We're committed to manufacturing in the U.S., in Vermont, and in Franklin County now. Our owner, Jonathan Fain, loves that we're here. He loves the work that we can do and the quality of product that we can put out. So we're never going to compete with the big boys. You know, we're always going to be in that 35 to 50 person range, but we can do that. We can do it well and remain competitive here. So, you know, we love being here, and we're here for the long haul, Tim. So thanks very much. Drop the mic.
Thank you, Eric. Well deserved. Thank you for all your participation in the community. Just a couple last things. I just remind people when I talk to them about what's happening in Franklin County. A lot of people don't realize that over 2017 and into 2018, 2-year period, there's going to be about $150 million worth of construction and capital investment in the local economy. It's expansions like the ones that are happening at Ben & Jerry's, Peerless Clothing, Barry Callebaut, Vermont Precision Tools. All of these expansions are adding hundreds of jobs total. And, you know, for a county of 50,000, I think we're very fortunate to be in the position that we're in. I can guarantee you that times can always be better, but I can also guarantee you that there's hundreds of rural counties across America that would love to trade places with us. You know, we've got the select boards that are in place across the county in Enosburg, Swanton, St. Albans, Georgia, Fairfield, and the list goes on, all understand what it means to have good paying jobs for their residents. They may not have that industrial development in their town, but they do understand that their residents will travel and will take jobs in the nearby areas such as the St. Albans Town Industrial Park. The vision of the St. Albans Town Industrial Park was created 47 years ago by people like Ken Kay and others. And now the St. Albans Town Industrial Park employs well over 1,200 individuals, all good value-added manufacturing, all jobs that bring money back into the community. And all these were, you know, where we stand now was made possible by people like Bill Toffee, Ken Kay, and others. So we don't lose track of that at FCIDC. We understand the value, and we understand that if people like that did not get involved 47 years ago and stay involved as Bill had and like Ken Kay has, we would never be in the situation that we are today. 47 years ago, we had double-digit unemployment, 12 to 15%. Now we're at about 3.2%. So we should feel fortunate. We've reaped the benefits by a lot of the manufacturing jobs with the way that St. Albans has grown over the last few years. The hotel has been very successful in downtown St. Albans due to the contractors on site. So we've been very, very fortunate, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming. There's still more food. It's the support of all of you and those select boards, the businesses in this room that have made St. Albans and Franklin County what it is today. So thank you for coming. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day, and we hope to have everyone back next year. And I'm guessing that no one wants to be an award recipient based on what Kathy Lavoie does. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming.